Hey everyone, welcome back to John's Watch. Today I'm taking a look at a new game called Another Code Recollection. This game was released on Nintendo Switch on January 19th, 2024. Its regular price is $79.99 Canadian or your regional equivalent, and it's developed by Arc System Works and published by Nintendo. So this is a very interesting game. This is a remake of... it's a remake collection of a DS and a Wii game. It was announced in a Nintendo Direct on September 14th, 2023. I typically skip Nintendo Directs, but I did actually manage to watch this one, and I do remember seeing this game as part of the Direct, and it sounded quite interesting. So yeah, this is a Switch remake of the Nintendo DS game Another Code 2 Memories, and the Nintendo Wii game Another Code R, A Journey into Lost Memories. And these were very obscure games that have been picked up and remade and polished and tweaked quite a bit so that they play pretty well in 2024 on the Nintendo Switch. So I was sent a review code by Nintendo, so thank you very much to Nintendo for sending me a code for this. And I thought, since this recollection like memories, and also because it's a collection of two games, very clever. Since this is a collection of two games, I thought I would check out how long to beat for how long the game as a whole would take and how long the originals took. So the main story, according to howlongtobeat.com, the main story for this game, Another Code Recollection, is about 13 hours. How Long to Beat for Two Memories, which was the DS game, was about 5 hours. And How Long to Beat for the Wii game was about 17.5 hours. So if you played the original, you're looking at about 22.5 hours to finish them, but this game is just 13 hours, so obviously some things have been cut out completely, I believe. The first game was on DS, so it would have used touchscreen a lot for a lot of the puzzles. Presumably the Wii version used motion controls, I'm assuming, so I understand. I haven't played either of the originals, but I understand that some puzzles were either tweaked, like I said, to make them work on just like a controller, like your Switch Pro controller, your Joy-Cons, or some puzzles were, I believe, just outright removed because they just not going to work without being able to use a touchscreen. Obviously, you can use a touchscreen on the Switch if you're playing handheld. I've played my whole time so far docked, so touchscreen controls weren't an option for me. So, anything that would have used touchscreen has presumably just been removed from this game. So, like I said, I looked up the How Long to Beat times for the two original games. Two Memories is the first game that came out. That's the DS one, and so it's the first game you play in Recollection. The How Long to Beat for the DS version was only 5 hours, so I thought, right, perfect stopping point to do my review would be after I've played through all of Two Memories in the Switch version. And so that's exactly what I've done. I literally just finished playing the Two Memories part of the game like 30 minutes ago, and have now sat down to do my video. So in order to finish the main story of the DS game, the How Long to Beat says 5 hours. I finished the Two Memories part of Recollection in, I think it was like 5 hours, 15 minutes. So very, very close. And I guess my overall thoughts are, it's okay. I think it's very expensive for what it is. Like even if you're playing this completionist, according to How Long to Beat, it's only 17 hours. It's priced as a full AAA game. It's very expensive for a decently short game. I said it plays well for a 2024 game. It doesn't really look like a 2024 game at all. It doesn't really control like a 2024 game either. It feels a little bit janky still. It feels a little bit budget. It looks a bit budget, apart from the Japanese voice acting, because they normally nail their voice acting. So the Japanese voice acting is really good. That doesn't feel budget, but I do think it's overpriced. I think this is probably a good game to get on sale because the full asking price is too much for what you're getting. Because these are two very, very niche, obscure games that have been Remade for Switch, which is great. I love that. Don't get me wrong. I want to see every weird and obscure game from the DS and the Wii and the Wii U remade or ported or whatever onto the Switch, because I think that's great. Like being able to play these weird games is awesome, but I do think they should be priced better. The fact that this costs the same as, I don't know, what's coming up, Persona 3 Reload, that's probably out by the time this video comes out. You know, that's a game that costs, I guess, $10 more, but you can put like 100 hours into it, and I don't know, just I feel like this should have been priced a bit better. So I can't talk about the second half of Recollection, I guess, the Wii game, because I haven't got to that yet. But I can talk a little bit about the DS part, the Two Memories part. In this part, you play as 14-year-old Ashley Mizuki Robbins, who has traveled to an island called Blood Edward Island with her aunt to look for her father, who she thought was dead until this point. And when she gets to the island, she has to, or you as the player have to navigate the island, which is mostly most of your time spent in this big mansion, and you have to navigate the mansion, you have to solve puzzles, you have to kind of figure out where to go a lot of the times. There is a tremendous quality of life / accessibility option in this game, which is there's two hint mode options you can toggle. One of them is literally just you can have hints available for the puzzles. It's completely, you can turn this option on, and then it's completely up to you if you want to ever use these hints. So I turned it on right at the beginning, and I think I used it once in one of the puzzles because I just couldn't figure out one of the puzzles. But it's done really well, because if you're at any point, you can press the minus button on your controller, and it'll bring up first it'll bring up a vague hint for what you're working on, and then it'll bring up a detailed hint for what you're working on. And I think sometimes it'll have another hint before it'll finally just straight up tell you the answer. And this is so awesome. I didn't find a need to use this at all, except for, like I said, there was one puzzle which was just very obscure and didn't quite connect with me, so I didn't quite realize what it was asking me for. So I used the hint then, and then it became quite clear what it wanted. The puzzles weren't too hard, but just awesome to have an option like that where you don't have to go look up a walkthrough, you can just do it right in the game. I think that's great. The other accessibility hint quality of life option, which I did use the whole game, is a navigation option. It basically puts a compass around Ashley, around your character, which will always point you in the exact direction you need to go, and it'll highlight the things you need to interact with or doors you need to go through. And I think without this, I would have pretty quickly just turned to like just a walkthrough, a text walkthrough of where to go, because the mansion was pretty big, pretty confusingly laid out. Sometimes like there were points where Ashley would be like, okay, I need to get this key, and I would have no idea where to start looking for that. So the fact that I didn't have to waste like 15 minutes hunting through the whole mansion to try and find the key, I could just follow the compass, was great for me personally. Some people will despise having that on, but it is an option. You can disable it whenever you want, you can enable it whenever you want. It made the game so much more enjoyable for me, so I love that that's an option, and I think it's great. It basically acts exactly as like a spoiler-free walkthrough would. So basically, like when Ashley said I need to find this key, it pointed me to leave the room I was in, which is not something I would have done immediately. But you know, if I had looked up a text walkthrough for that part, it would have said, when Ashley says I need to find this key, first leave the room, then go down the hall and go to this room, kind of thing. It was just really cool that I could follow a walkthrough in the game itself. I love that as an option. The story was less interesting than I was expecting. It never really picked up. Especially in the first couple of hours, I thought it was actually pretty boring. But I did finish it up. I did finish it because I knew it was only going to take me like 5 hours to finish the Two Memories part. There was, I guess, yeah, there was a plot twist in the game, and I don't know how it played in the original, but it was telegraphed so ridiculously obviously in this version. Just the second something happened, the second the possibility of this plot twist was introduced, I'm trying to be purposely vague here. The second the possibility of the plot twist was introduced, I knew exactly where it was going. It was, I think most people will also see exactly where it's going. I don't know if this is a change they made in the Switch version or if it was made this obvious in the DS version, but like as soon as I got to this part of the story, I was like, oh, I can see how the rest of this game is going to play out now, and it pretty much did. Like I said, the Japanese voices are really good. There is the option of Japanese and English voices. I started on Japanese voices, and then decided I should try out the English voices. They were between bad and fine, I guess, so I very quickly switched back to the Japanese voices, which were all much better. I just wasn't quite sure like what was the intended language, I guess, because like I said, the character you play as is called Ashley Robbins, her aunt's called Jessica, so I was thinking, oh, what was this like actually an English language game? But no, it was the DS version was released in Japan first, so it is actually a Japanese game, so I thought, yeah, sure, let's do the Japanese voices, and they were much better than the English voices. Graphically, it's a Switch game, so of course it's locked to 30 FPS. Not a huge deal for something this slow-paced. It is a very slow-paced, methodical, puzzle-focused game. High frame rate's not the end of the world. Would it be better with 60? Of course, but 30 FPS in this kind of game is not a deal breaker for me. Graphics-wise, it looks okay, I guess. The character models look very good. The lip sync with the dialogue is really good, and it actually syncs in both whichever voice language you're using, which I'm not used to seeing, so that was really great. But a lot of the environmental graphics are very low res, and there were a couple of times where we would do like a zoom in on some texture, or we would get really close to a texture, and just like one of the examples is there's a fountain with just designs in the bottom of it, in the base of the fountain, and we got really close to one of the designs, and it was just so pixelated, and I was like, really? That couldn't be scaled up a little bit? So yeah, graphics wise it's okay, but presumably looks a lot better than a DS and a Wii game. It's also quite a small game. I think it was only about 4 gigabytes. I'd have to double check to make sure, but yeah, I think it's actually, the Switch page tells me 5.2 gigabytes. Thanks, Nintendo.com. So yeah, decently small game, I guess. I think that's pretty small nowadays. So there you go. I just finished the first, technically, half of Another Code Recollection, even though the second half is much longer, because it's based on a longer game. And I thought that was a decent place to do my video on it, because I've got a feel for the game, I know the systems, and I'm honestly not sure if I'm going to play the rest of it. There's a lot of games. I mean, by the time this comes out, Persona 3 Reload will be out, and I will be playing that. But I'm really grateful I got a chance to look at this game, because like I said, it did catch my eye in that Nintendo Direct. It's not a game I would have bought for myself, not for full price, and I wouldn't advise buying it for full price either. But it's a very interesting game, and like I said, I absolutely love these weird, niche, obscure, older games getting remade and made available to more people. I think that is just fantastic. I love that. There you go, those were my thoughts on Another Code Recollection. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!